Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. As other people are still joining, I want to be able this is a very important opportunity for everyone to know as far as our plan as we get started into the new school year. First, I would like to, sorry about this. We're probably going to have more people join during the presentation. So, first, I would like to introduce myself. As many of you guys have already know me, I am Alberta Galarza, the school leader at the Academy for Business and Technology. In this call, we also have Pamela Schaefer, who is our 3 through 5 instructional coach, and we also have Wendy Kranz, who is our office manager. During the presentation, I do ask that everyone mute your phone, your line, and at the end, we'll be able to ask some questions. However, throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat at the bottom, and we do have someone that's going to be answering those questions throughout the presentation. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Oops. So this plan, as far as how was our plan, the return to school plan created. So we developed committees that were formed for each of the 5 phases. And during these committees, we reviewed, revised, and developed best practices, mainly looking at the safety protocols, the mental and social emotional well-being, the instruction, and the operations. We also took a look at some of the feedbacks that we received from online surveys and phone calls that were made to parents. The plan was reviewed and was approved by the board on August 10th as well. The main guiding resources that were used to develop this plan was the My Safe Start Plan, the Michigan Safe Schools Roadmap that was developed by the governor and the council, as well as the CDC guidelines for reopening schools. So these 3 documents were things that we use to guide everything that we have put together in the plan. I do want you to know that a lot of the things that we are enforcing this year are things that are required or that are highly recommended. So as we think about the fall, how is it going to look like? So based on the roadmap, these are the possible scenarios. The first one is if we are in phase 6, that means schools can open for in-person instruction with minimal required safety protocols. If we are in phase 5, that means schools can open for in-person instruction with moderate required safety protocols. Phase 4, schools can open for in-person instruction with more stringent required safety protocols. And for phases 1 through 3, those are for in-person instruction, but with, I'm so sorry, phase 1 to 3 is remote learning, no in-person instruction. That's basically where we were from March to June of last school year. We were on phase 3. That means we could not have in-person instruction. Where are we right now? As a state, we are currently on phase 4. Phase 4 means that schools can provide in-person instruction with required safety protocols. Now, when we started gathering information from you as parents, from staff members, and looking at best practices, we feel it is going to be best for us to give you an option as far as what you feel would be best for your families. So parents will have an option to either choose completely online or the hybrid model. And we'll talk more about the hybrid model as we move along. But for phase 4, we're going to be able to give parents those 2 options. Now, If the state moves back to a phase 3, that means we all have to go back to remote learning. And we don't know where we will be, 2-3 weeks from now as we start, the new school year. Things can change as a state, and that is going to be very important for all of us to know and understand. So when we developed the plan, again, we were guided by the roadmap and the CDC guidelines. And so in the roadmap, there are these 4 specific actions that have to be considered, which is the safety protocols, the mental and social emotional well-being, the instruction, and then the operations. With the safety protocols, this for us is top priority, is number 1, as we start planning on actually having staff back in the school, having students back in the building. We understand that their safety is going to be our priority. There are strict guidelines, there are strict protocols, because we want to ensure that everyone is safe. We know that we are living in some critical times. It is not easy. We are living through a crisis right now. And we know that COVID-19 is still there. It's still alive. And so that is the reason why it is going to be critical that we all do our part to ensure that everyone is safe. Just so that you know, we have been meeting continuously throughout the whole summer. We have been looking at best practices, doing a lot of research, because we want to make sure that we are prepared to be able to provide some in-person instruction. So with the safety protocols, this is a lot, but we want to be able to share with you guys some of the things that we are going to put in place as we think about reopening in the fall. The first thing is we understand that there are going to be some students that are at risk, that may not be able to, that have an underlying condition and due to COVID-19, things can get complicated. And for that reason, we are going to be developing a healthcare plan for the students that are medically fragile or have an at-risk status. Everyone that completed their re-enrollment forms, that is one of the questions that is asked. If you answer yes, the 504 coordinator will be reviewing them, and she will be creating a health care plan with you. If the student has an IEP, the healthcare plan is going to be part of the IEP. The next question is, will staff and students be required to wear a mask? For phase 4 and 5, it is a requirement. Staff members are going to be required to have a face covering except for meals. If someone is not able to, due to medical condition, they have to be able to provide a medical note. Homemade masks have to be washed daily. Disposable masks can be thrown away. Students are also required to wear face coverings in all common areas, such as the hallways, the lunchroom, the bathrooms, the office. Now, if a student is not able to wear a mask due to a medical reason, they need to provide us with a medical note. This needs to be done before school starts. Students will not be required to wear a facial covering when they are with their classmates throughout the school day, and do not come in close contact with other students in other classrooms. So this is going to be important. The students have to remain with their cohort groups so that, and if they are with their cohort groups 6 feet apart, they will not be required to wear a mask. That means they will not be switching classes. Specials will be taking place inside the classroom. The only time the student will leave the classroom is if they go to the restroom, or if they go to, well, when they go to lunch, they will have to wear their masks in the hallways until they sit down at their tables. And we'll discuss that more as we move along. But face coverings, it is a requirement for all staff. Even when they're in the classroom, staff are required to wear a mask. And then students, as long as they stay with their cohort groups inside the classroom, it is not a requirement. They will be provided, students and staff will be provided with face masks. So what is the protocol for students riding the bus? For students that are riding the bus, this is a requirement that they wear a facial covering, unless there's a medical note. If the student refuses to wear a face covering, they will lose their privilege of riding the bus. Before students enter the bus, parents will have to complete a health survey at home, and then students will be, we will be taking their temperature as they enter the bus. The bus driver will be cleaning and disinfecting before and after every transit route. If a student becomes sick during the day, they will not be allowed to ride the bus back home. Parents will be notified immediately to pick up the students. And obviously, if the bus driver is sick, they will not be able to drive the bus as well. So what is the protocol for students that are dropped off in the morning? All parents have to complete a health survey at home before students come to school. Students will only be able to enter through the Calhoun doors. Those are the doors that are closest to the stop sign. There will be staff members outside that will be taking temperatures before the students get out from their cars. Once they are all clear, that means that they do not have a temperature of 100.4 degrees or more, then they will be allowed to enter the building. If they do have a fever, then they will have to go home. And everyone, as soon as they come into the school, they will be going directly to the classrooms. That is something different that we're doing this year. We are not going to be gathering in the gym. Breakfast will be in the classrooms, and we'll talk more about that later on. What is the protocol for students that are late? Students that are late, again, parents will have to complete the health survey at home before the students come to school. The parents will call the main office and letting them know that their child or children are late and give us an estimated arrival time. The office manager or our secretary will be able to go meet them at the door, take the temperature, and if a student has a fever, they will not be allowed to enter the building. At that point, students will be able to go to the classroom if it is all clear for them to go. I'm sorry, I have a couple of parents that are trying to join. Oops, sorry about this. Sorry about that. So again, if they're late, it is important that you call the school, and then we will take temperatures at the door. What is the protocol for visitors and guests in the building? For all of the phases, we are only going to allow essential visitors into the building. That means food service or maintenance staff. If other guests, they will be asked to ring the doorbell, At that time, the office staff will come to the speaker, ask how they can assist them. We will be recording a date and time of anyone that is not an employee, any other visitors that enter the building. However, at this time, as I mentioned earlier, only essential visitors. If a parent is picking up a student, they will call the main office, letting them know that you're on your way. The office will pick up the student from the classroom and take the student to the door. So at this time, only if it's an emergency will parents be allowed in the building. Other than that, only essential visitors will be allowed in the building. That is different. It is new, but we are trying to limit the number of people that are inside the building at any given time, and the only way we can do that is by only allowing essential visitors into the building. How will the classrooms be cleaned and disinfected? So we have created a detailed cleaning schedule for our custodial staff. They are going to be recording every time they go into the classrooms to clean and disinfect each classroom. There will be a log posted outside the classroom. During the school day, the classes will be disinfected and cleaned twice a day, in the morning and in the afternoon. We will be using a disinfecting sprayer at the end of the day when there are no children present. That will be our night custodial staff will be doing that every single day. In addition, we are going to be using that Wednesday when we have no students in the building to do some deep cleaning in every classroom. Students are going to be limited on sharing manipulatives such as Chromebooks, pencils, crayons, markers, and scissors. Everyone is going to have their own school supplies and they will not be shared. But in the event that they have to use a Chromebook that's not theirs, that Chromebook will be disinfected. How will the Academy teach and reinforce hand washing protocols? This is a requirement that students have to wash their hands every 2 to 3 hours. And so we have developed schedules to do that. Teachers are also going to be teaching and reminding students throughout the day how to properly wash their hands for at least 20 seconds. We have also installed different hand sanitizers throughout the building, in every classroom, for students to use in addition to hand washing. Sorry, we have one more person. Should students bring their own personal items and supplies? So we are recommending that students have 2 pencil boxes that includes crayons, markers, pencils, scissors, and glue. 1 to stay at home and 1 to stay at school. And parents are encouraged to replace those items as needed at home. But students should only bring essential items to school, such as their homework folders and their Chromebooks, and that is it. No other things should be brought to school, such as toys or anything else. We need to limit the number of things that are going to home and are coming to the building. So we have purchased large Ziploc bags for students to be able to put all their personal belongings in there. So that is another measurement that we're putting in place in the classrooms. So what happens if a student becomes ill during the school day? If the student becomes ill during the school day, they will be sent to the office with a mask on. At that time, someone from the office will contact the parent. Parent will have to pick up the student immediately. The student is going to be escorted to our quarantine room with a staff member. And at that point, if the student is sick, the staff member and the student will be wearing an N95 mask. And at that point, once the student is picked up, it will be up to the parent whether or not, if they feel they need to take them to the hospital or to a clinic or to the doctor. It is going to be your decision. However, what happens to a symptomatic student or staff member who was sent home from school? So if the student, and this is very important, the student or staff member will not be allowed to return to school until they have tested negative for COVID-19 or they have completely recovered according to the CDC guidelines. And so these are for those that have symptoms. And according to the CDC guidelines, you have to be, it's basically 10 days since the symptoms first appeared and 24 hours of no fever without the use of fever-reducing medication. And other symptoms, if other symptoms of COVID-19 are improving, such as loss of taste and smell. So unless these three things happen, they will not be allowed to come to the school. And at that point, the student will have to be quarantining at home, and they will be learning online. So if a student tests positive or is suspected of having a COVID-19, the school, we will notify the families of the presence of any laboratory positive or clinically diagnosed case of COVID-19 in the classroom. And the school is going to encourage, we're going to encourage you as parents to observe for any symptoms at home. In the event of a lab or clinically diagnosed case of COVID-19, we will make sure that we contact anyone that was in close contact to that person. Close contact means if they spend more than 15 minutes and less than 6 feet apart. If that is the case, then anyone that was in close contact will have to quarantine for 14 days at home. We will also notify the local public health department if there is a confirmed case. I know it's a lot. I'm sorry, admitting some of these folks. But this is going to be very important. You will, if your child or was in close contact with anyone that has been clinically diagnosed as COVID-19, you will be notified, and everyone that was in close contact will have to quarantine for 14 days. At that point, like I mentioned earlier, the student will go to online learning. What will the classrooms look like? During phase 4, we are going to be using the hybrid model, as I mentioned earlier. With this, there will be 12 to 15 students in a classroom, and the students will be facing the same direction, 6 feet apart. However, kindergarten looks a little bit different because we have tables, but we are installing protective shields for the 2 kindergarten classrooms that we have. For phase 5, that's in-person instruction. That means we have 25 students or more in the classroom. And if that happens, everyone will still face the same direction with no more than 3 feet apart. What is the protocol for breakfast and lunch? Breakfast will be provided in the classrooms. We're going to have our food service coordinator that will deliver all of the breakfast in the morning. As students walk into the classrooms, they will take their breakfast, eat, and then throw away their trash and disinfect their desk. Lunch will be served in the cafeteria. However, we have staggered schedules so that students are coming in at different times, and they're significantly apart from other classrooms. Students will only wear their masks as in the hallways as they are getting their lunches, but they can take it off when they sit down to eat. And they will all have to wash their hands before eating lunch. Will there be after school enrichment, after school care? For phase 4, these are the students that are participating in the hybrid model. And phase 5 only. We are going to be providing enrichment services from 3:30 to 6 o'clock. However, students will be required to wear their masks. If they do not comply with this, we will have to follow our disciplinary actions, and they could be removed from the enrichment program. Now, it is important for you to know that we are going to be practicing social distance. So students will be sitting down at least 6 feet apart from other students. Once you pick up your child, you will be coming in through the gym doors. We will have a staff member right there at the door you'll let them know who you're picking up, and then your child will be brought to you. So no one will be allowed into the building. So that was the first part. I know it was lengthy, but it is very important. The safety is one that we put a lot of thought into. Just so that you know, this is just a portion of what's in the plan. The plan is about 83 pages long that we will be sharing with you guys so that you can review. But I wanted to point out the big ideas and some of the most important things that I feel you need to know as you start thinking about, what would be the best thing for your family in the fall as you choose. The second part is the mental and social emotional well-being. So while we know safety and instruction is important, the other piece is the mental well-being of our students. We know some of them have lost family members, and they don't know how to cope with what's going on. Everyone is going through a lot of changes, and we feel that our students have to be supported as well. And for that, we are going to be, for all of the phases, our teachers are going to be surveying our students to find out how they're feeling and how things are going. This screening process is going to help us identify those students that we feel might need additional support. You as a parent will be notified, obviously, if we recommend additional support through the social worker, but you will be notified and you will have to give us your consent for additional support. We encourage you to visit our website. Our social worker has put in a lot of resources there for you, and we'll go over it on the next slide. But throughout all of the phases, whether it's phase 1, 2, or 3, 4, or 5, we are committed to continue to provide social work services to our students. And this could be done whether it's through Google Classroom, through email, through phone calls, through Zoom meetings. So when in-person is not possible, our social worker is going to reach out to parents to figure out how it would be best for her to continue her services with students that are in need. If you feel that your child does need additional support and they are not currently receiving it, feel free to contact me and let me know so that we can get that started for you. So where can you find more information about on resources for mental and social emotional health? Please visit our website under the social worker, and there you will also find community resources that could be very helpful for you, strategies that you can work at home with your child. I feel that as a family, we need to start practicing and doing some activities together. because everyone is going through a change. This is not easy for everyone, and so as a family, I think we all have to be more informed and be able to use some of these strategies that will help us get through this. So I highly encourage you to visit the website. And as a parent, you also
Hello?
have, sorry, hi, can you mute your line? And at the end, we'll be able to open up for more questions. As a parent, I feel that you also need to be able to take care of yourselves. And so we provided some resources for you as well. The next part is the instruction. And for this part, we took a look at some of how things were implemented in the springtime. And we have made some changes with the instruction, and we want to go over it with you guys today. So what will instruction look like in the fall? As I mentioned earlier, for phases 1, 2, and 3, it is all going to be remote. I'm sorry. Can you mute your line, please? So with the online instruction for phases 1, 2, and 3, the lessons will be integrated either through synchronous, which means students will be learning at the same time, and asynchronous, which means students will be learning the material at different times and locations. So we will implement both for phases 1, 2, 3, and phase 4. So there will be Zoom meetings, for example, that are scheduled where the same time where your child will be joining, but there will also be opportunities for them to work at on their own pace throughout the day. So we're going to be implementing both. For phase 4, we are doing the hybrid model and the online model. And then phase 5, it's for in-person instruction. So I shared this with you guys about 2 weeks ago. And this is just to help you in making a decision for the fall. But with the hybrid model, all of the classes are going to be split in half. So we will have a lot less students in the classroom. But they are also online learners, because the other 3 days that they're not in school, they will also be learning online. So what will schedules look like? We understand that when we cannot expect a student to sit on the computer for 6 hours, that is impossible. And so the teachers are going to be developing suggested schedules for students that are learning remotely from home, to be able to incorporate some activities, and it's not all the computer, but students will be able to attend daily Zoom meetings, and teachers will be able to send out office hours when they can be reached for additional individual support. For hybrid students, they're going to be divided into two groups. Group A that will attend school on Mondays and Tuesdays. Group B will attend Thursdays and Fridays. Both of the groups will be learning online the other 3 days. And then Wednesday will be used for deep cleaning. As far as curriculum resources, these are just some of the resources that we're using that some of you are familiar with. For second grade, we are going to be moving into the Google Classroom. And obviously it's going to be a lot of training and just working with our students and getting them ready for that, because they are not used to Google Classroom. But it is something that our teachers feel that it is going to be important for our second graders to start in the fall. We are very excited for math. We are going to, with Eureka Math, we are actually going to be able to provide online modules for that. And so more information is going to come when it comes to the resources and the curriculum that we're using. Our teachers will let you guys know and give you more details. But I just wanted to share with you guys some of the resources that we will use and how we have made some of them even better for the fall. As you know, when it comes to testing, as it comes to testing, we are required by our authorizer to administer the NWEA. At this time, we are still waiting to hear from our authorizer and see if there's going to be flexibility on the NWEA assessment. It is done online. It is done, you know, it is an online assessment. So we're just trying to get more information from them and figure it out. But at this time, students for phases 1, 2, and 3, we can do the MobiMax placement test. And for phase 4, we are going to be administering the NWEA. Again, if there's flexibility, we'll let you guys know. But at this time, it is a requirement that all students take the NWEA assessment. One of the things that the state of Michigan is doing is that they have put a petition to see if the federal government can waive all standardized assessments, particularly the end of the year state assessment that we're required to take, the MSTEP, as well as this year, there is the kindergarten readiness assessment that all kindergartners have to take. And so we are still waiting to hear to see if it is going to be waived or not. But at this point, we are still planning as if we are going to be required to take those assessments. Unless we have, you know, unless the state tells us that those assessments will be waived. So how will students be monitored? Students are going to be monitored through various different ways for each of the phase. Specifically for phase 1, 2, and 3, they will be monitored through MobiMax, quick checks. And then for phase 4, we are going to continue with MobiMax and running records, quizzes, and things like that. However, students are going to be receiving feedback by their teachers through either Seesaw or Google Classroom. It is important that you know that students will be graded for the assignments that they complete. It will be counted towards their grade this time. I know that in the spring, the governor mentioned that students should not be penalized for not completing the assignments. However, for the fall, it is going to be required that they complete the assignments and they will be getting graded for that. We're going to discuss more about the expectations as you come and we give you more information. I'll talk more about those dates later on, but that is going to be important. Students have to complete the assignments and they will be graded for those assignments that they complete. Students will be able to receive support throughout the day. We are going to be scheduling Zoom meetings where they can join for each grade level. We're going to have the interventionists on the call all day. They are going to be mentoring any students that are working from home, in addition to the teachers. Students that are receiving, that have an IEP or an IFSP or a 504 plan, they will continue to receive their support with the special education teachers. And this will be done either online if they are at home, or if they are in school, there will be opportunities for in-person with appropriate precautions. So obviously, there's going to be safety measures that our special ed teachers have to follow when they are providing in-person support services.
What a God. Or AAA.
I'm sorry, it was hard to hear. If you don't mind maybe typing in your question under the on the chat, and someone will answer the question. If not, at the end, I will be open to any other questions that you might have. When it comes to students needing occupational, physical, and speech or language therapy, those will continue. Obviously, for phase 1, 2, and 3, those will have to take place virtually. For phase 4, if they are at home, they will be virtually. If they are in school, they will be provided with precautions. So how will we communicate with parents and students? So we are going to be having an orientation, drive-up orientation week, the week of August 31st. And during that time, we are going to be sharing expectations as far as online learning and hybrid. We're going to be giving out parents monthly newsletters with resources and upcoming events, and if things are changing, obviously, if it might be more than once a month. The other thing, we are gathering all of the emails, and we're going to be sending out emails moving forward to communicate a lot of the information with parents. Teachers will also be sharing out information and communicate with parents. I do have a slide here. So teachers will be able to communicate with parents through Zoom meetings, through emails, Class Dojo. If you're not connected with Class Dojo, we highly encourage that you do that. It is very easy to be able to communicate back and forth with your classroom teacher. And so phone calls. When we're on phase 1, 2, and 3, there will be phone calls made at least once a week. And then phase 4, again, it's very similar to phase 1, 2, and 3, but communication for us is going to be critical. And so we want to be able to hear from you guys as well. So whether it's a phone call or whether it's an email. The next part is operations. And this one, it's a lot of the things that we've already discussed when it comes to safety. However, there are additional things that I do want to add. What type of technology will be offered to students? So we purchased about 109 new Chromebooks during the summer. And with the devices that we had before, we will be able to offer each individual student a Chromebook for the fall. And if you do need a device, August 31st week, that's when you will be able to come and pick up a Chromebook. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. So anyone that is in need of a device will be offered a device. We will have a scheduled days and times when you can pick them up. And if you have any concerns or need any assistance with technology, you may contact Ms. Banis, who is our literacy lab teacher, or Ms. Schaefer, who is our MTSS coach. So this is the summary of our COVID-19 preparedness and response plan. We know the plan itself is about 83 pages, as I mentioned earlier, but we wanted to share with you guys the most critical components that we feel that you need to know. We are also going to be sharing another document with questions and answers for each component so that you can also review at home. And any questions or concerns that you might have, you can visit our website or call the school or email me. So there's different ways that you can reach out to us if you should you have any other additional questions. I do want to, before we end the meeting, I do want to give you guys some updates really quick. The first one, we did share this out. You know, there was a lot of question about whether or not you needed to come for this if your child was already enrolled. So this is an opportunity for anyone that is new, And also I don't know if you recall the regular re-enrollment forms that you have to fill out every year. We have condensed them so that it's not a lot for you to fill out, but we're trying to give you some time to do them in advance as well. So we are going to provide another opportunity if you were not able to come last week, for you to be able to come this upcoming week, Monday through Thursday. And it's Monday through Thursday from 9 to 2, and on Thursday from 9 to 2 9 to 2, and then 4 to 7 on Thursday. So for those parents that work and can't make it during the day, you can come after, and someone will come to you and give you the forms. You fill them out in your car. When you're ready, you give them back to us, and no need for you to come inside the building or get off your car. It is all going to be done from your car. So please come if you are able to. If you cannot come during that week, our office hours are Monday through Thursday from 9 to 2, which we are currently, just call the school and someone will be able to assist you when you do come. Orientation week will be August 31st through September 3rd, and this is also drive-by. So during this time, you will be able to pick up your the online and hybrid schedules, the online expectations, Chromebooks if you need one, and we're very excited to have Clever accounts this year. And what a Clever account is basically when students log into their Clever account, they will be able to see all of their other accounts in one. So whether it's MobiMax, RAS Kids, even the Zoom will be there, Seesaw, Google Classroom. So all of these other portals that we use will be all in one account. So that way your child does not have to remember 5 or 6 different usernames and passwords. They will all be connected in one. And so we will be giving you guys your Clever accounts during this week as well. And if students are riding the bus, we will be giving you your bus cards as well as your schedules. And so whether it's coming back to school, or whether it's learning from home, the first date of students to start their learning will be September 8th of this year. We know these are very difficult and challenging times. There is a possibility that we do open for in-person and then we have to close based on where we are as a state or where we are as a school. So we are planning for all of the scenarios, and for us, we want to make sure that you feel comfortable with the decision that you make, and we're going to support you with whatever decision you make. We want to thank you for your commitment to ABT Elementary. Without you, we would not be existing today. One thing that I do want to mention is, last year we were going through our reauthorization with Eastern Michigan University, and in June, late June, we found out that we are going to be reauthorized for 5 more years. And so we're very, very excited about that. It's a process that we've went through, and EMU has given us 5 additional years, which it's hard, to get to this year. Normally they do 3 years or less, but we were granted 5 more years. And so we're very happy for that. And we're here for you. We're gonna do whatever we need to do. Obviously, things will have to change. This is not a perfect plan. We will have to come back and make changes as we move along. But ultimately, we want to make sure that our students and our staff are safe when they do return. So at this time, if you have any further questions, this is our email, ABT email address. Feel free to email us, email me, or call the school. should you have any further questions. At this time, Pam, I know that you have been taking notes as people are typing them up.
Yes, I have answered all of the questions. A few of the questions that I've had to answer was the virtual question. Are we offering